After 2 days of deliberation, a jury returned its verdict in the defamation trial between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp on June 1st. Heard defamed Depp 3 times in her 2018 Washington Post op-ed, while attorney Adam Wallman, acting on Depp's behalf, defamed her once in his 2020 Daily Mail article. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at judge catching Amber Heard for faking new proof in appeal. Yeah, you heard it right. The decision concluded 6 weeks of grueling testimony in Virginia's Fairfax County Courthouse, the latest installment in a heated legal volley that began in 2016. In her op-ed, Heard identified herself as a survivor of sexual violence whose career suffered when she named the powerful man in Hollywood as her abuser. She did not mention Depp directly, but given how publicly the actor's divorce played out and how central Heard's allegations of domestic violence were to the proceedings, Depp argued that most readers would have filled in the blanks. He had weathered a fair amount of bad press by that point, but nonetheless sued Heard for defamation. After losing her bid to have the case dismissed, she sued back. And on November 23rd, nearly 6 months after losing in court, she filed an appeal arguing that Depp's lawsuit never should have gone to the trial in the first place, and that the outcome undoubtedly will have a chilling effect on other women who wish to speak out about abuse involving powerful men. Less than a month after Johnny Depp filed his formal appeal of some of the verdict in his sweeping defamation case against Amber Heard, Heard has put down her own brief in the Virginia courts. And Heard's newish lawyers are flying the flag of the First Amendment and taking trial court judge Penny Ascarate to task repeatedly. The trial court erroneously refused to dismiss this action on the ground of forum nonconvenience, based on its mistaken conclusion that Depp's claims arose in Virginia because the Washington Post servers are located there, said J. Ward Brown and David L. Axelrod in the appeal filed on November 23rd. The trial court also erred in overruling Heard's demurrer, in which she argued that the challenge statements are non-actionable expressions of opinion and not reasonably capable of conveying the alleged defamatory implication. The DC-based and constitutional law specialist Ballard Spahr LLP attorneys added, that holding, if allowed to stand, undoubtedly will have a chilling effect on other women who wish to speak out about abuse involving powerful men, further lambasting Ascarate for improperly instructing the jury in Fairfax County case that ended almost entirely in Depp's favor on June 1st, and excluding highly probative evidence and by admitting irrelevant and prejudicial evidence. Heard's appeal seeks to have the more than $10 million verdict against her reversed or tossed out for a new trial. This case also should never have gone to trial because another court had already concluded that Depp abused Heard on multiple occasions. The 68-page brief of appellant reads, after Depp filed this case, the United Kingdom High Court of Justice ruled in a separate defamation action brought by Depp that Heard's abuse allegations were true. The appeal adds of the ultimately unsuccessful libel suit the Pirates of the Caribbean star brought against Rupert Murdoch's The Sun tabloid in 2018 for calling him a wife-beater in print. The trial court should have given preclusive effect to that 129-page decision, which followed a 3-week trial at which Depp, Heard, and 24 other witnesses testified. The Aquaman star's latest filing says Depp sued his ex-wife Heard in March 2019 after $50 million over a 2018 Washington Post op-ed under Heard's byline. In the piece, the American Civil Liberties Union ambassador wrote about becoming a public figure representing domestic abuse. While Heard never actually mentioned her ex-husband by name in the piece, Depp insisted that the op-ed devastated his already dwindling career. In his initial suit and subsequent filings, Depp declared that he was in fact the one who was abused in the couple's relationship. The actor repeated that assertion on the stand during the Virginia trial. Oddly, Depp said nothing of the sort during his and Heard's restraining order-loaded 2016 divorce, even before the $7 million settlement between the two effectively forbid him from doing so. Failing to get the matter tossed or moved to another jurisdiction like California, Heard countersued Depp for $100 million in the summer of 2020. In November 2020, the UK High Court handed Depp a stinging loss in the case against The Sun. Since then, attempts at an appeal of that side of the Atlantic has proven a dead letter office for Depp. After both parties promised to appeal within hours of the jury's verdict in June, in early November, Depp filed his own appeal in the Virginia case. This court should reverse the judgment on Ms. Heard's counterclaim as to the April 27 Wallman statement, but should otherwise affirm the judgment in Mr. Depp's favor, declared the November 3rd filing in Virginia's Court of Appeals of the $2 million the Virginia jury awarded Heard in a countersuit claim. Besides that single counterclaim in the 7-week defamation trial, the 7-person panel found heavily for Depp, fueled by fans in and outside of the court. The past Oscar nominee was awarded $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive. before releasing the jury as Karate reduced the punitive damages figure to $350,000, the maximum allowed in the state. Striking at that time, the $2 million counterclaim award could prove the Achilles heel for the initial case, at least if Heard's legal team get their way. The resulting jury verdict against Heard on all of Depp's claims cannot be reconciled with the jury verdict against Depp on Heard's counterclaim, said Heard's appeal from just before Thanksgiving. To find in favor of Depp, the jury must have concluded that Depp did not abuse Heard and that Heard knowingly lied in accusing him of abuse, the Dent's document says. But to find in favor of Heard, the jury must have concluded that Heard told the truth about being a victim of domestic abuse by Depp. Accordingly, the verdict against Heard cannot stand. With Depp and Heard having now filed their respective appeals, you'd think that things would move along at a brisk pace, at least by the measure of the American justice system. But not so much in this case. Under Virginia law, a group of judges will now decide the merits of both appeals. Depending on how that goes and who is left disappointed, Heard and Depp can take the matter to the Commonwealth Supreme Court, which means it'll be years before this is settled, if it ever really is. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.